Hi there, Eric Bakker. Thank you for coming back and looking at this video. I've got an interesting question here from a subscriber called Jennifer Green. And Jennifer is asking, thank you for your videos, they're so helpful. What if you have SIBO, Candida and leaky gut? Would you suggest treating all three at once or one at a time, or how would you treat that? My stool test showed I had high levels of Candida as well as low levels of beneficial bacteria and other bad bacteria. I definitely have leaky gut too. I'm gluten and dairy intolerant. I also have severe weight loss recently, and I'm concerned about diet. I also have autoimmune issues. I have hypothyroidism and acne, rosacea and hormonal imbalances. Would your Candida supplements help all three? Do you suggest trying Canxida Remove first, then Canxida Restore, or can you take both at the same time? And then there's a guy called Dan Theman, he goes, yeah, I would also like to know the answer to this question. Well, that's what I assume Dan, how Dan would say it. So Jennifer and Dan both want to know what you treat first. SIBO, Candida or leaky gut, all three, or one at a time, or how the heck would you do it? Well, let's look at the facts. What we can see that Jennifer puts down. My stool test showed I had high levels of Candida, as well as low levels of beneficial bacteria and other bad bacteria. That's the first thing that I probably want to be looking at, is the stool test. I'll also be looking at the depth and breadth of the stool test to see if you've done a ×1, ×2, or a ×3. So how many samples have you done? What level of testing did you do? Did you include parasitology with the test? Were there digestive markers with it, immune markers, inflammatory markers? So we need to look at all of the information, not just which bugs to shoot down with a gun. That's not what we're interested in here. So Jennifer, get this straight. It's not about killing. It's about restoring harmony and balance, okay? So a lot of people have this idea, if you pull out handguns and shoot everything around, that you'll get rid of all the bad guys. It doesn't work like that. Whether you're using antibiotics or antimicrobials, you can't just keep on killing and shooting. I just read an interesting comment before on YouTube where a guy basically wants to slap me because he says, I know nothing about parasite cleansing, and he's been trying to clean parasites for an entire year, and he knows how to clean parasites. And I'm talking, I think he said fluff, calm demeanor, and hiding behind glasses or something, whatever that means. If you're still struggling to clean parasites out after a full entire year, you're doing something wrong. Especially if you haven't completed at least 2, if not 3 parasite screens throughout that 12-month period to determine, the quantity of bugs you've got. You can see that from a sample, the species you've got, and also then try and understand what else is going on in the gut at the same time as the parasites. So you're looking at the whole balance of information. You're not just looking at species. You're looking at pancreatic health. You're looking at bowel health. You'll be looking at liver function. So a practitioner working with someone like you will have to weigh all of those things up in his or her mind about what the priority is for treatment. I'll just repeat that, what the priority is for treatment. So we don't look at conditions, because we don't treat conditions. We treat Jennifers and we treat Dan Themans, we treat people. Okay? That's a really important point that not many people talk about. It's not that important to name something. It's more important to work out what the dysfunction is that can be corrected, the underlying. And then whatever the name is we give the problem, it should go away. But that's not really commonsensical today, is it? We still like to name something and then treat that name with a product or a pill or a drink, whatever that we have today. So what if you've got SIBO, Candida or leaky gut? Would you treat all three at once? No, I wouldn't treat any of these. I'd treat the underlying problems. So when I get a test report back and I listen to a patient, I very carefully determine what the key needs of that client are. These clients will want a symptom eradicated. That's the main reason they contact us. But then we've got ancillary problems around that complaint. And then we start testing properly and we look at the underlying imbalances, deficiencies, toxicities, all sorts of things. Now, if you call that fluff and demeanor, I don't know what you mean by that, this parasite guy. Some people can't understand these kind of simple concepts that I discuss on these videos. Common sense to me says the thing that needs treating the most with a patient is the thing that most urgently needs the attention. Most people will have one thing that urgently needs attention, then there'll be minor things, and then there'll be things right in the background that need lesser attention. So usually at the first consultation, the thing that urgently needs treatment pop up, And then often the triggers or causes around that will pop up as well, and they can be discussed. So there's a lot more to this question than meets the eye. There's no, oh, let's treat Candida first, and then we'll tackle SIBO, and then after that we'll do leaky gut, or let's do leaky gut first, seal the leaky gut, then we'll do this. This is all crap. This is just nonsensical in protocols that people put together based on, I don't know what. A stool test, when performed properly, along with a breath test, if you do both tests, a SIBO breath test and a proper 3-day collection stool test, on the same day you've done both tests, you collate the information, you sit down with the patient, you can actually work out with the breath test where the spikes are occurring of methane or hydrogen. And you can tell by how high the spike is, how strong the reaction is, and at what time in the gut, where it's transitioned through. So you'll be able to work out quickly if the problem is in the small bowel or the large bowel. And then when you look at the stool test, you'll be able to see what species indicator there are that could be underpinning this high spike. That's an intelligent way of treating, treating a problem in your gut, not just by hit or miss protocols or random things you pick off YouTube or the internet or Instagram or Facebook, whatever. Many people just try different things, and they end up after a whole year, like the gentleman who complained to me on YouTube. After a whole year, they've still got a parasite problem. There's something wrong. And often intelligence is not used. There's not enough thought that goes into this. People just do things, random. And if you've got no really good nailed down plan, you're not really going to go very far. Not just when it comes to restoring your health, but when it comes to a whole lot of stuff in your life. Finances, travel, relationships, all that sort of stuff. Best to sort of plan to a degree, right? Do you suggest trying Canxida Remove first, then Restore, or can you take both? When I start a patient on a program, I like them generally to have all 3 products at hand. And then based on the stool test report and the SIBO breath test, and maybe other test results, we can work out the correct dosage. An average dosage for Canxida Remove would be 2 tablets per day, sometimes 3 tablets per day. That's average. And it's the same with the Restore. We're looking at 2 capsules a day, generally 1 morning and 1 night. Canxida Rebuild is 1 per day. If you're very deficient, you might want to take 2 or even 3 per day. All 3 products can be taken simultaneously with a great advantage. And I generally work with most patients with a 4 to 6 week protocol with Canxida. And depending on how bad or how good the stool test report is, we will add different agents in there, like caprylic acid maybe, or grapefruit seed extract as a top-up, sometimes black walnut if you want a particular type of parasite. This protocol works 90% of the time because it's guided by correct assessment, and we're using the correct kind of supplements to tackle these kind of problems. It doesn't cost thousands and thousands of dollars to get your gut right. It takes time and patience and having the right knowledge and understanding how to use the right information. We're not jumping from one paleo, gluten-free diet to this diet to that diet like lots of people do. So many people, in my opinion, take too much stuff. They're not taking the right stuff. They took too much of the wrong stuff. And they just took way too much stuff into their diet, all these different types of things. Is it any wonder their gut gets messed up? So, to answer the question briefly, I wouldn't treat any of these conditions if you had all 3 of them as a standalone. I would tend to work more off the reports and off what you're telling me. And particularly with the feedback, I'm going to be looking at how effective the protocol was and then fine-tuning that to make it even more effective for the future. So generally 2 visits or 3 visits, sometimes 4 visits with a patient, and that's it, they're on their own. At that point, they should be good to go. 12 months is far too long to get parasites out of the system. And it's the same with SIBO or Candida. You should be able to tackle this properly and get a resolution much, much sooner than that. So I hope that answers your question, Jennifer and Dan. Thank you.